Hiya, I'm Pimmie. Today I want to tell how I started with spinning. As has come up in the past videos, I am mainly a spinner, and all the other things I do, like knitting or weaving, are more of a result from my spinning and my wish to use the yarns I make than that I started with knitting and worked my way up to spinning. I started very young. My grandmother gave me a spindle when I was 8, and told me that I was supposed to learn how to spin, and end of discussion. And with that, she gave me, the best hobby I've had in my entire life, and really the only thing that has been with me since that moment. All other interests or hobbies have come and gone, apart from spinning and living history. And I started when I was 8. There's usually, if you go to a spinning class or is an introduction round, and usually you get asked, oh, what kind of yarn do you spin, and what's your favorite yarn to spin, thickness or technique, and as well as how long do you spin. And up until recently I was usually the youngest, or one of the youngest in the room, and one that had the most years of spinning, which I always really enjoyed. I have been spinning from 8 years on, but not as full-time as I do it now. I started with a drop spindle, bottom whirl spindle, and some of the wool that my grandmother imported from New Zealand, which was washed and carded and then lanolin added again. So it was, and it was quite old because she was importing this wool in the 70s, and I learned to spin the end of the 80s. But there were huge bags of carded, lanolized wool in our basement. So I attempted to spin my way through that. And just for the joy of spinning, not for the yarn I made, but just enjoying the spinning. And when I was 13, I think, my other grandmother, my mother's mother, she taught me how to spin on a spinning wheel, because she used to teach pottery classes and spinning classes. And we sat next to each other with our Lewitt S10 wheels on the couch, and sat there spinning. I think she was plying something with a really thin strand of silk, and I was attempting to master spinning on a wheel. still with that same 80s of 70s New Zealand wool, which was getting pretty sticky and but yeah, it was nice wool, but getting rather old. And around, well, the spinning wheels sped up my production, of course, and I eventually learned to ply, but I needed something to do with all the yarn. And my grandmother, my maternal grandmother, she dug up an old a little table loom, which has been standing for years and years with the same warp on it in the living room. And I tried to weave a blanket, a woolen blanket in 3 long strips, but I only finished the first one, and the second one got halfway, and with a combination of odds and ends of what I spun and what was lying around from crocheting or knitting from my mum. And the first the first warp, I still have it, and it's sitting in the attic here. And the second warp was eaten by moths and mice in storage. And the third unwound warp I have somewhere in a cupboard. I recently found that. But that's a project that's never going to be finished, probably. But it's nice to see how my spinning progressed, and that I used the unfinished and unplied and unwashed handspun yarns, and how they behave in the cloth. And then I didn't spin as much during puberty, because, well, yeah, being a teenager, you are busy with other things. And I really picked up spinning again. It was always coming and going, and entering my life, and I pulled out the old Louette and some even older wool, and eventually I found a sheep shearer and got fresh fleeces to work with, and then I started felting as well, which I really enjoyed. And by the time my kids, the first 2 twins were born, I picked up spinning again. And that was also the time when there was a lot more information for me to find about spinning. So it was so much easier to learn than without having a teacher, and without having decent books to tell you what to do. And on the internet there was so much to find, and Ravelry started up, and I started following classes and found other spinners, and even in my region found other spinners. And then about 7 or 8 years ago, we bought a new house, and I needed to add some money to to the pot, and I started spinning for the shepherds of Ballo, little tiny little village in Drenthe, close to Groningen, and top of Holland. And they have primitive breeds that are kept on the moors there, and that keep the grass away from the moors. And it's the Drents heath sheep, the Drents heideschaap, and they have really long locks of hair with an undercoat and the long top coat in laying in locks. And I spun that into really thick, big yarns on a Ashford country spinner. So it's a big wheel that can store more than a kilo up the bobbin. And I spun about pinky thickness yarns, really big, over the top wild yarns, and I let the locks hang from the side. If you have the yarn, the top coat of the guard hair, I let that in locks hang from the yarn, spinning only the underwool, the down part. And I was paid for that per kilo, so my yarns got heavier and bigger, and I did that for several years, and started teaching some, and started doing living history, and found a museum where me and the kids go, and started up medieval spindling, and borrowed my grandmother's walking wheel from my aunt, and that's living here now. And I took up weaving again after only knitting for years. And yeah, I enjoy learning new things about wool and about spinning, and it really is my main interest. So I'm always trying to find more information about it and absorb that. So here I am today, and I'm not spinning for money anymore. And I occasionally teach, and mostly I am spinning and crafting the things I like, but I'm moving towards recreating historical cloth and spinning for that and weaving for that. And next on my wish list would be a warp weighted loom, but I'll probably have to build one if I want that, and to weave the historical cloth the way it was done first time around on a warp weighted loom. But yeah, I'm keeping busy and keeping happy, and it's the thing that is most interesting to me, and that fills my mind while caring for my family. So yeah, that's my story of spinning, and the overview of how I have been spinning for most of my life. And hopefully you will be interested to hear another thing about what I want to tell. I hope to see you next time. Bye.